Why Fiancée callously cheated on me with my own brother and my parents had the audacity to side with them. I abandoned our home, career, and everything we'd planned and started a completely new life, only to uncover the harrowing, unexpected truth about her pregnancy 6 months later. I never imagined I'd be telling this, but I really need to get it out. I'm Charlie, 28, male, and the last few years have been an emotional whirlwind. Growing up, I was always the quiet, focused one, usually lost in books, while my older brother, Lester, 31, male, was always the life of the party. Our parents showered Lester with praise for his charm and social abilities, and I often felt like I was in his shadow. Even so, I managed to create my own path. I did well in school, earned a scholarship to a good college, and secured a position at a respected accounting firm right after graduating. I was proud of what I'd accomplished, even if it didn't seem to impress my family as much as Lester's latest adventures. It was at this point in my life, feeling settled in my career but without a romantic partner, that I met Carla, 26, female, at a friend's birthday gathering. She was striking, confident, and seemed to have her life well ordered. Her honey blonde hair, sparkling green eyes, and infectious laugh immediately caught my attention. We connected right away, bonding over our shared interest in true crime podcasts and spicy food. Within a few months, we were exclusively dating. Things were wonderful initially. Carla was thoughtful, kind, and we had so much fun together. We'd take weekend trips to nearby coastal towns, try new restaurants in the city, and spend relaxed Sundays watching our favorite shows. I truly believed I had found the one. I remember our first significant disagreement. It was about 6 months into our relationship, and I had to cancel our dinner plans because of a work emergency. Carla became furious, accusing me of prioritizing my job over her. Her intensity surprised me, but I attributed it to her strong feelings for our relationship. I promised to make it up to her, and we moved past it. However, as time went on, I started noticing some warning signs. Carla grew increasingly possessive and suspicious. She would constantly check my phone, accuse me of flirting with coworkers, and even follow me to work once, convinced I was meeting someone else. I tried to reassure her, showing her my work schedule and introducing her to my colleagues, but nothing seemed to help. Despite these issues, I was still deeply in love with her and wanted to make our relationship work. I thought back to my parents' marriage. They had been together for 35 years and had navigated their share of difficulties. I felt that with enough affection and patience, Carla and I could also overcome these challenges. On our second anniversary, I decided to propose. I spent weeks planning the perfect evening. I made reservations at the elegant Italian restaurant where we had our first date, bought a beautiful diamond ring that cost 3 months of my salary, and even arranged for a violinist to play our favorite song that night. Carla looked stunning in a red dress, but she seemed distracted, constantly checking her phone. When I finally knelt and asked her to marry me, she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said yes. I was overjoyed. The next few months were a whirlwind of wedding preparations and anticipation. We set a date for the following summer and began looking at venues. Carla immersed herself in the arrangements, insisting on the most expensive choices for everything, from the flowers to the cake. I was somewhat worried about the escalating costs, but I wanted her to have her dream wedding. It was during this period that my brother Lester returned to town after a difficult divorce. Lester had always been the family's favorite son, charming, athletic, and successful in business, but his marriage had collapsed after only 2 years, and he was seeking a fresh start. Our parents welcomed him back with open arms, even offering him their guest house until he got back on his feet. I wanted Lester to meet my fiancée, so I invited both of them to dinner at our apartment. From the moment they met, I sensed an odd tension between them. Carla seemed overly friendly with Lester, laughing at all his jokes and touching his arm. I dismissed it, thinking she was just trying to make a good impression on my family. But as the weeks passed, I noticed Carla spending more time with Lester, claiming they were just becoming good friends. Looking back, I should have recognized the indicators. Carla began dressing up more when she knew we'd be seeing Lester. She'd laugh a little too loudly at his jokes, stand a little too close to him, but I was so consumed with wedding planning and work that I ignored the persistent unease I felt. One day, about 2 months before the wedding, I came home early from work to surprise Carla with flowers. As I entered our apartment, I heard muffled voices coming from our bedroom. My heart sank as I pushed open the door to find Carla and Lester in a compromising situation. I was devastated. The next few hours were a blur of yelling, crying, and accusations. Carla attempted to blame me for not giving her enough attention, saying she felt neglected and unloved. Lester claimed it was a single mistake, that he had been vulnerable after his divorce and Carla had been there to comfort him. I could not believe what I was hearing. I forced them both out of my apartment and spent the night drinking and feeling sorry for myself. The next day, my parents called, furious about what had occurred. It turned out Lester had gone to them, concocting a story about how Carla had seduced him and how truly sorry he was. My parents, always favoring Lester, seemed more concerned about his feelings than mine. They urged me to forgive both Carla and Lester, saying it was just a misstep and that we could overcome it. My mother even suggested that Carla's actions were understandable given how much time I spent at work. I was shocked by their response. How could they expect me to forgive such a betrayal? I told them I needed time to think and ended the call. Over the following weeks, I received countless messages and calls from Carla, Lester, and my parents, all pleading for forgiveness and a chance to explain. Carla's messages varied from apologetic to angry. One moment, she'd be begging for another opportunity, saying she made a terrible error and that she truly loved me. The next, she'd be blaming me for driving her to cheat, asserting that if I had been more attentive, she wouldn't have turned to Lester. Lester's messages were full of apologies and excuses. He claimed he had been intoxicated, that Carla had made advances, and that it meant nothing. He reminded me of all the times he had been there for me as we grew up, as if that somehow compensated for sleeping with my fiancée. My parents' messages were perhaps the most painful. They kept emphasizing the importance of family, stating that blood is thicker than water and that I should forgive Lester because he's my brother. They barely mentioned Carla's part in the betrayal, focusing instead on how this situation was affecting Lester's fragile emotional state after his divorce. I felt lost and isolated. My fiancé had cheated on me with my own brother, and my family seemed to be on their side. I didn't know who to trust or what to do next. The wedding was only 3 months away, and we had already paid non-refundable deposits on everything from the venue to the caterers. As I sit here trying to figure out my next move, I can't help but reflect on all the moments that led to this point. The childhood spent in Lester's shadow, the years of hard work to build my career, the whirlwind romance with Carla that seemed too perfect to be true. And now, it all lies shattered around me. Should I give Carla another chance? Can I ever trust Lester again? How do I handle my parents' reaction to all of this? I feel like my entire world has been turned upside down, and I'm not sure how to move forward. Part of me wants to forgive Carla, to believe that our love is strong enough to conquer this. But another part of me knows that I deserve better, that I shouldn't have to constantly worry about my partner's faithfulness. And then there's Lester, my own brother, whom I've looked up to my entire life despite our differences. How could he do this to me? I know I need to make a decision soon, but I'm torn between my feelings for Carla, my family loyalty, and my own self-worth. The thought of calling off the wedding and dealing with the consequences is overwhelming, but so is the idea of going through with it, knowing what I know now. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. How do I even begin to sort out this mess? Update 1. It's been a few weeks since my last post, and I wanted to let you all know what's been happening. First of all, thank you to everyone who offered guidance and encouragement. Your words truly helped me gain some perspective on the situation. After taking some time to clear my head, I decided to listen to Carla. We agreed to meet at a neutral spot, a small downtown coffee shop we used to frequent when we first started dating. As I waited for her, I couldn't help but recall all the happy times we'd shared there, planning our future, laughing over inside jokes, stealing kisses over steaming mugs of coffee. It felt like an eternity ago. Carla arrived looking disheveled, with dark circles under her eyes and her usually perfectly styled hair in a messy ponytail. For 2 hours, she poured her heart out, explaining how she felt neglected due to my long work hours and how Lester had been there to listen to her problems. She swore it was a single mistake and that she truly loved me. She spoke about how stressed she'd been with the wedding preparations, how she'd felt overwhelmed and alone. She even mentioned her parents' difficult marriage, suggesting she had commitment issues stemming from her childhood. As much as I wanted to believe her, something felt wrong. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. So, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked her phone while she was in the bathroom. What I discovered made my blood run cold. There were dozens of messages between Carla and Lester going back months. They had been having an affair for almost half a year, right under my nose. The messages were explicit and left no doubt about the nature of their relationship. There were even messages planning how to keep their affair secret after the wedding. They had discussed how they would meet up when I was working late, how they would cover their tracks. It was all there, in plain sight. When Carla returned, I confronted her with what I'd found. Her tears instantly dried, replaced by a cold, calculating look I had never seen before. She admitted to the affair but tried to shift the blame to me, saying if I had been a better boyfriend, she wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. She accused me of being uninteresting, of not fulfilling her emotionally or physically. It was like a switch had flipped, and the woman I thought I knew was gone, replaced by this bitter, angry stranger. I walked out of the cafe without another word, leaving Carla calling after me. I felt numb, like I was observing myself from outside my body. I got in my car and just drove, not sure where I was going. Somehow, I ended up at Lester's apartment. I found him lounging on his couch, watching TV, as if he didn't have a worry in the world. When he saw me, he had the nerve to smile and ask how I was doing. I exploded. Years of pent-up frustration with my brother, the golden boy, came pouring out. I yelled at him for betraying me, for always taking what was mine, for never considering anyone's feelings but his own. I brought up every slight, every time he had overshadowed me, every moment I had felt inferior because of him. Lester's reaction surprised me. Instead of apologizing or becoming defensive, he laughed. He actually laughed. Then he said something that shocked me to my core. He told me that Carla wasn't the first girlfriend of mine he'd slept with. Apparently, this had been happening for years, ever since we were teenagers. He saw it as a game, a way to prove he was superior to me. As he spoke, memories came flooding back. My high school girlfriend, Jessica, who had suddenly broken up with me after meeting Lester at a family dinner. My college girlfriend, Emma, who had become distant after Lester visited me at school. Even my first serious girlfriend after college, Olivia, who had ended things abruptly, citing that we had grown apart. All of them had met Lester, and all of them had left me shortly after. I was stunned. It was like the ground had vanished beneath my feet. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my relationships, my family, was a lie. I left Lester's apartment in a daze and drove to my parents' house. I needed to talk to them, to make them understand what kind of person Lester truly was. But when I arrived and told them everything, their reaction was not what I expected. Instead of being shocked or angry at Lester, they were upset with me for causing drama in the family. They accused me of being envious of Lester's accomplishments and said I should be grateful to have such a charismatic and successful brother. When I brought up Carla and the affair, they dismissed it, saying boys will be boys and that I should learn to share. I could not believe what I was hearing. It was like I was living in some bizarre alternate reality where my pain and betrayal meant nothing. I realized then that this wasn't just about Carla or Lester. This was about years of favoritism and emotional neglect from my own parents. As I write this update, I'm sitting in a hotel room, having packed a bag and left my apartment. I've blocked Carla, Lester, and my parents' numbers. I feel lost and angry, but also strangely free. For the first time in my life, I'm putting myself first. I've decided to take a leave of absence from work. I need time to process everything that's happened and figure out my next steps. The thought of facing my colleagues and clients right now, of pretending everything is normal, is unbearable. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know one thing for certain. I deserve better than this. Better than a cheating fiancé, a backstabbing brother, and parents who can't see beyond their favorite child. It's time for me to begin a new chapter in my life, where I'm the main character, not just a supporting role in someone else's story. To those who offered advice on my last post, thank you. You helped me see that I'm not crazy for feeling betrayed, that I'm allowed to be angry, that I don't have to forgive just because someone is family. Your words gave me the strength to stand up for myself. I don't know what's next for me, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I have the freedom to discover it. It's frightening, but it's also exhilarating. Here's to new beginnings. Update 2. It's been about 3 months since my last update, and so much has changed. After my discoveries about Carla, Lester, and my parents, I decided I needed a fresh start. I left my job, sold most of my possessions, and relocated to a new city across the country. It was both daunting and exciting, but I knew it was something I had to do for myself. I found a small apartment in a lively neighborhood of my new city. It's nothing extravagant, but it's my own, and it's free from the memories and betrayals of my past life. I spent the first few weeks simply exploring, getting to know my new surroundings. I visited local coffee shops, went to museums, and even joined a recreational soccer league, something I'd always wanted to do but never had the time for in my old life. After a month of self-reflection and healing, I started looking for a job. I was fortunate enough to secure a position at a startup company. The work is challenging but rewarding, and my coworkers are excellent. We're a small team, which means I get to be involved in all aspects of the business. It's a significant change from my old accounting job, but I'm truly enjoying the different pace. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm living life on my own terms. About a month after I moved, I received a surprising email from Carla's best friend, Emily, 27 female. She apologized for not reaching out sooner and explained that she had only recently learned about Carla's affair with Lester. Emily revealed that Carla had a history of cheating in her previous relationships and that she had been enabling this behavior by covering for her. Emily shared some stories that made my stomach churn. Apparently, Carla had cheated on her high school sweetheart with his best friend. In college, she had managed multiple relationships at once, always having a backup guy lined up. Even in the early days of our relationship, when I thought everything was perfect, Carla had been secretly meeting up with her ex-boyfriend. But the most shocking news was still to come. Emily revealed that Carla was pregnant, and she wasn't sure who the father was. Apparently, Carla had been seeing multiple men during our engagement, including Lester and her ex-boyfriend. Emily felt guilty for remaining silent all this time and wanted to make amends by telling me the truth. While this information was painful to hear, it also provided a sense of closure. I realized that Carla's unfaithfulness had nothing to do with me or our relationship. It was a pattern of behavior that predated our time together. In a way, it was liberating to know that I wasn't to blame for her actions. As for my family situation, things have been strained. My parents have tried contacting me several times, leaving voicemails that alternated between trying to make me feel guilty and angry accusations. They've accused me of abandoning the family, of being selfish for moving away. My mother even tried to defend Lester, saying that he was going through a difficult period and that I should be more understanding. I've maintained my distance, focusing on healing and building my new life. Lester, surprisingly, hasn't tried to contact me at all. Part of me wonders if he even cares that I'm gone, or if he's just moved on to his next conquest. I try not to dwell on it too much, but sometimes the hurt and anger still surface. One unexpected positive outcome of this entire ordeal is that I've reconnected with my estranged sister, Lisa, 33 female. We had grown apart years ago, partly due to the family dynamic centered around Lester. When she heard about what happened, she reached out to offer her support. It turns out she had her own stories about Lester's manipulative behavior and our parents' tendency to enable him. Lisa shared how Lester had flirted with her best friend in high school, causing a rift in their friendship. She also told me about the time Lester had borrowed money from her without repaying it, and how our parents had dismissed it as sibling sharing. Hearing these stories made me realize that I wasn't alone in my struggles with our family dynamics. Lisa and I have been talking regularly, sharing our experiences and supporting each other as we navigate our complicated family history. It's been therapeutic to have someone who understands exactly what I've been through. We're even planning to meet up soon, as she lives only a few hours away from my new city. As I write this update, I'm sitting in a park near my new apartment, watching the sunset. The past few months have been an emotional journey, but I'm starting to feel optimistic about the future. I'm learning to trust again, making new friends, and focusing on my personal growth. I've started seeing a therapist to work through my trust issues and family trauma. It's been challenging to confront these deeply ingrained emotions, but I know it's necessary for my healing process. I'm also exploring new hobbies. I've taken up photography and joined a local book club. These activities are helping me rediscover who I am outside of my relationships and family roles. I know there will be challenges ahead, especially when it comes to dealing with my family. The holidays are approaching, and I'm already anticipating the inevitable pressure to come home and make amends. But for now, I'm taking it one day at a time and focusing on building the life I desire for myself. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. Thank you all for your support and advice. It's been a long journey, but I finally feel like I'm on the right path. Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I can hardly believe how much has changed. Life has a peculiar way of surprising you when you least expect it. First, on the professional front, I've been thriving at my new job. The startup I joined has been expanding rapidly, and I've had the opportunity to take on more responsibilities. My hard work paid off, and I recently got promoted to team lead. It's demanding, but I'm enjoying every moment of it. The sense of accomplishment I feel is something I never experienced in my old life. Now for the personal update. Remember Emily, Carla's friend who reached out to me? Well, we've been talking more and more over the past few months. What started as occasional check-ins turned into daily conversations. We discovered we have a lot in common: a love for independent films, a passion for cooking, and a shared experience of betrayal by those we trusted. Last month, she visited me in my new city, and sparks flew. We're taking things slowly, but I'm cautiously optimistic about where this might lead. As for Carla, I heard through the grapevine that she gave birth to a baby girl. The paternity is still uncertain, but apparently Lester has stepped up to assist her. Part of me feels sympathy for the child growing up in such a complicated situation, but I'm just thankful it's not my concern to deal with. I've accepted that Carla and Lester are no longer a part of my life, and I'm concentrating on my own happiness. My relationship with my parents remains strained. They've stopped trying to contact me directly, but I've been receiving messages through extended family members. My aunt called last week, attempting to make me feel guilty about not coming home for Thanksgiving. I politely declined, explaining that I'm building a new life for myself. It wasn't an easy conversation, but I held my ground. I'm not ready to reconnect yet, but I'm no longer filled with anger when I think about them. It's more of a sad acceptance of who they are and the relationship we likely won't ever have. The positive aspect in all of this continues to be my relationship with my sister, Lisa. We've become incredibly close over the past few months. She's been my steady support through this whole process, offering guidance and encouragement when I needed it most. We're even planning a sibling trip together next month, something we haven't done since we were kids. We're going to rent a cabin in the mountains, just the two of us, to hike, talk, and continue healing from our shared family trauma. Looking back on everything that's happened, I can hardly recognize the person I was a year ago. The pain and betrayal I experienced were agonizing, but they also served as a catalyst for change. I've learned so much about myself, my strength, my resilience, and my worth. I've continued with therapy, and it's been instrumental in my healing process. I'm learning to set boundaries, to value myself, and to recognize healthy relationships. It's a journey, but I'm committed to it. My new hobbies have become a significant part of my life. The photography class I took has developed into a genuine passion, and I'm even considering doing some freelance work on the side. The book club has introduced me to a great group of friends, and we often get together outside of our monthly meetings. I'm not naive enough to think that life will be entirely smooth sailing from here on out. I know there will be more challenges and heartaches along the way, but I face the future with a sense of optimism and self-assurance that I've never had before. To anyone out there experiencing something similar, I want you to know that it does improve. It might not feel like it now, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. Trust yourself, surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you, and don't be afraid to start over. As for me, I'm excited to see what the next chapter of my life holds. For the first time in a long time, I'm truly happy, and that, more than anything else, feels like the greatest victory of all.